Good evening and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, back with Byron and back with a face who's been unfamiliar this month on the main show. You have seen him on the Sunday preview show doing lots of fine work there, and you've probably been catching him winning a butt ton of money with all of his NFL bets on Twitter. I mean, Adam, you left us a poor man. You've come back. Are you like George now? Do you have all these fancy friends when you go to NFL games and,
Yeah,
partying with the celebs?
of course. I mean, what made you think that I wouldn't? I mean, you got the money. That's what happens.
The fact that you've taken out the time off of your busy schedule to be with us reprobates makes me feel that maybe that money wasn't invested in something, I don't know, like a local football team, maybe with cryptocurrency or no.
Definitely not. No, I mean the problem with my local football team is they keep losing.
Well, that's what I thought. An injection of money into Crawley FC would be just what they needed right now.
Crawley Town FC.
Oh, Crawley
Let's get it right.
Crawley Town. You know what? I was talking to my friends the other day about how you looked a lot like Ryan Reynolds, Adam. And you know what? I
really? I will take that.
Yeah, you really do.
Does that make Andrew Rob McEllery?
Yeah. Rob McEllery's dad, more than likely. Yeah.
Well, we've got lots to talk about today, and Adam is back. Byron joining with us as well. We've got probably a little bit of fantasy football to talk about as well, as we've been joking around about that, but we'll leave a lot of that for the fantasy show later in the week. And thank you for all those who have been watching the Sunday preview show as well. More of them to come throughout the season. Unfortunately, there won't be one this weekend as we are coming to the last NFL London game of this international series, the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Denver Broncos. Are we going to see Russell Wilson? I hope so, because I want to see some sort of game. But then again, if Russell doesn't play, it might still be some sort of game. It might even be worse with him playing at the minute. But very excited to see the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially now James Robinson-less, with just Travis Etienne leading the back. I mean, we're going to be talking about some of the trades, one that has just happened just now, pretty much, before we've come on the air, and some of the root ones on the rumor mill. But the latest trade that's just happened, Robert Quinn, defensive end for the Chicago Bears, has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a fourth-round pick, it looks like, at the minute. I'll have a look at more details in a minute of that trade. I mean, Adam, you know, first back on the pod, I mean, this trade by the Eagles, they did a massive trade in the offseason, obviously bringing A.J. Brown in during the draft, trade some players away like Jalen Reagor to Minnesota Vikings, are the only unbeaten team left in the NFL. What do these movements that they're doing really show you about this NFL franchise at the minute?
That they want to win. It's essentially what this is. I think it's just another piece, isn't it? They've worked out that they're in a position where they're 6-0. I know Byron was saying earlier that about how, before we came on, about how he feels that they might start to struggle a little bit. But you look at their schedule, to me, I don't really see it. I must say, I think they're a pretty decent side. I said it at the beginning of the season. I think they'll continue to do well. Obviously, they won't go unbeaten, but I think they're a very good side. And this is just an extra piece for not really a lot, to be honest. Like, if you want to win now, it feels like a fourth round pick isn't really that much. So, you know, they're in a weak NFC conference, and they've decided to go for it a little bit.
I mean, Robert Quinn is, God, I'm just trying to do quick maths on Wikipedia. So it's not even that hard of maths. He was born in 1990. So what's that? He's 32. He's 32. It's not that hard. He is older, of course, but a fourth round pick is quite cheap capital. I've also just read as well, the Bears are pretty much picking up his entire salary. So all they've had to spend is a fourth round pick. And I mean, Byron, I suppose we should move on to you because, like Adam just said, we talked about it sort of before game on the pod, and you said I don't really see it. So give us your opinion on that. What are you not seeing about this Philadelphia Eagles team maybe going all the way?
No, so they are a good team. You can't win 6 games in a row and not be a good team. It doesn't work like that. But you look at last year. You know, did the Arizona Cardinals go? Was it 8-0 or was it 7-0?
7-0, I think.
7-0. But you look at the similarities between those teams. You have young mobile quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and just Jalen Hurts. You know, you have wide receivers that have just been traded to those teams. You have AJ Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. You have studs on that defensive line. You have Chandler Jones and you have Fletcher Cox. And now you have Robert Quinn. You have fantastic corners. You have Buda Baker and you have Darius Slay. The Eagles are a good team, but they have benefited so much from such an easy schedule so far this year. They haven't really been tested. You know, you can't disregard any team that starts 6-0. You can't. You have to be good to win 6 games in a row. However, you know, I don't think the hype is as justified as it could be with other teams with the schedule they've had. I really don't.
You make an excellent point, and this is going to sound bad of me, and this is no offense to definitely one of our friends here right now, and to my own team, and to a lot of teams out there. They really don't have a true test down the field like that later on. I mean, they're playing the Steelers this weekend. I think that's an easy win. I think we're in a bad sitch at the minute. They got the Texans, the Commanders, the Colts, the Packers, which if the Packers play the way they're playing, I think the Eagles roll them there, to be honest. Yeah. The Tennessee Titans, the Giants twice, the Saints, the Cowboys, and the Bears. Cowboys, you could argue, but the Cowboys is the third last game. And actually, all right, I'm going to. This is for the benefit of another one of our colleagues who isn't here this evening. I think the Giants could be tough games. I think that both of them Giants games could be tough games considering the way they are playing at the minute. But this is a Gareth resident, guy on the pod here, does a lot of stuff for us. Doing his fantastic interviews, which you should all check out on our YouTube page, and more to come from Gareth definitely in the year. He did say at the start of the year, I think the Eagles could go far because our schedule is really, really easy, and I don't see anyone that we're playing that I'm particularly afraid of. I mean, who have they played so far? You make a good point about who they've played so far, but the Cowboys haven't looked that bad. The Jags have been decent this year. You look at the rosters of like the Vikings. The Vikings put 7 points up against them. Okay, Eagles only put 24 points up against them. But Adam, is this just a sail coasting into the NFC? At this point, maybe not even wild card. They might just get that. They might be the first round, the number one team and get the first round bye.
The only problem with that is that obviously they're in a division where, and it's incredibly painful to say, but for some reason the NFC East have suddenly decided that they want to play football. So one slip up and you're level. That's where they are at the moment. So I don't think the Giants are. I think the Giants are being efficient, and I don't think they're necessarily that there's going to end up with games that they might have where they're not going to put enough points up. But the Cowboys are the other team that if the Eagles were to slip up, that they might be able to take advantage of it. Having said that, I don't see where the Eagles, like I say, it's incredibly difficult. I mean, it's very rare that you have an unbeaten season. It's incredibly unlikely, if for no other reason than just that they'll rest players towards the last couple of games. But I just don't really see where the slip ups come for them. I think that they could quite easily be the number one seed. And to be honest, you look at it and you just sort of think, I don't think it'll be much of a problem for them. And then adding players like Robert Quinn is only going to help. So I don't see where it goes wrong, to be honest.
My personal view on this is when that came through, that trade was an explanation point for the Eagles going, if it's going to be our year, this is our year. We are going to go for it. We're going to go eggs all in basket here. We made a big trade for a star wide receiver in the offseason. We've cut off some of the fat. We brought in some people like James Bradbury in the offseason as well, who's performed at a really high level. I know a couple of pods back, I gave Slay and Bradbury a bit of flack maybe, but I didn't think that you heard enough about them, and that's maybe why I didn't feel like they were playing that well. But to be honest, since I've said that, I've totally at my own words. They've been really great every game, and every game it seems to be, but they're on screen and getting talked about because they have been fantastic. And I never said they were bad players. I just didn't think they had sort of the wow factor, I suppose. Slade going from the Lions, the Eagles for a while. He's been there a while, but I wouldn't say he's been in the elite conversation. Bradbury, was good at a Giants, but has been good on a very poor Giants team for a long time. It did lack wow factor. But bringing him from Robert Quinn, I'm not saying Robert Quinn is no Aaron Donald, he's no TJ Watt, he's no Myles Garrett. But that's what they don't need that. They just need another little piece that is in the trenches, so to speak, that can disrupt plays and can progress them even more forward. I think they're just thinking if we're going to be on this run, we've got the gears going, the team's got this confidence. Why not? It's a 4th round pick. You've got a 4th round pick for Robert Quinn, a proven good defensive edge. Okay, you're not going to have him for 3 years. I reckon he's got 2 years maxing him before they maybe moving on or they cut him. But they're not picking up any of his wages, so it's not going on there. It's not going on their salary cap either. So I think it's risks like this at this sort of point where it's starting to, the trade deadline is getting cut off, that really pushes teams over the edge. And like Byron said with the Cardinals, we felt that way with the Cardinals at the start of the year when they brought in the veterans. We were like, why are they doing that? It should be young. But actually, they were doing it because they were going, this is our moment. We need to get some leaders in the locker room, some vets, and that pushes over the edge. And it nearly did, but it didn't quite work out. I think there was a lot more problems with the Cardinals than maybe we were visually seeing with their downturn at the end of the year. But I know Sirianni on that sideline, giving it large to the other teams. Jalen Hurts playing some swag. AJ Brown looks like he's having the time of his life there, not being the second man in that offense behind Derrick Henry like he was in Tennessee. And his defense, I said, there's some good players, but no out and out. They're not stood, so to speak. But, when you think of Rams defense, you think of Donald, you think of Ramsey, you think of TJ Watt, you think of Myles Garrett. You don't think about all the other pieces they have. You think about their key guys. Whereas when you talk about the Eagles, you have to talk about all their individual talents because as a collective, they are sublime at the minute.
Yeah, but what I would say with all these sort of little additions they've made, like Robert Quinn today, how far does that go? You're playing in a very, and Adam, I'm sure you'll agree, it's a very poor NFC this year. It really is. For me, I don't see them having any sort of difference on the top AFC teams this year, no matter who they bring in. No matter who they bring in. Jalen Hurts, as well as he's playing, he's thrown 6 touchdown passes this year. You come up against a good defense that can contain the quarterback. He's not an established passer. He's not. He's good at passing the ball, yeah, but he's not an established passer. I think they are overhyped. I think they're playing well. Don't get me wrong. They are playing well, but I think they are very much overestimated in what they can do, especially in a very, very poor NFC this year.
I think when it comes to the NFC at the moment, it feels very much like who can take advantage of the situation. And the fact that the Eagles have found themselves in a position where they're 6-0, they're unbeaten, their confidence is high. You look at their schedule, it's not incredibly tough. Yeah, they've got some games where you could argue that maybe it might be a bit close, but at the same time, you would probably favour them. I think that's all you can do. Like, if you're on that side of the you're in that conference, there's nothing else you can do about it. And all you can do is beat what's in front of you. So I think they are going to put themselves in a position where they are the strongest of the NFC. And if that is the case, and that's what happens, they end up at the Super Bowl. And then, okay, yeah, you do end up going up against, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, any of these AFC teams, which are incredibly strong. But, the Rams beat the Bengals last year. So, there is a possibility that on that particular day that the Eagles could show something. When it comes to Hurts, I mean, I kind of, to a certain extent, I agree. You kind of need to be able to throw touchdowns as well as just use your legs. You can't just rely on one specific area. But he has got better. And I think that it is something that as he progresses through his years in the NFL, he will get better and better. It might not be that he's at the peak of his throwing or passing powers now, but the thing is that they're still a very good team, and I think they're going to have enough to get certainly to the playoffs and like I say, you look at that schedule, what is there that's stopping them from becoming the number one seed other than injuries, to be honest?
And we might as well really get onto the point of some of these trade rooms as well, because as Robert Quinn got traded, and you immediately said, Adam, I thought you were going to go for Bradley Chubb. Like that would have made a load of sense. Like there's been a lot of that so far because we're drawing it to that date. 1st of November is the trade deadline date. Rumor mill is flying about at the minute with so many different players. I mean, Jerry Jeudy is another player, Bradley Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Chase Claypool. Loads of players are all getting sort of their name thrown about, and it always happens this time of year. Byron, is there any players that you've been hearing about that you've in particularly thought there may be some stock to that they could be on the move?
To be honest, Kareem Hunt to anyone. I'd love him at the Bills. I think we'd be unstoppable, but I don't think we'd give up a 4th round pick for him. But Kareem Hunt is a good running back. He has been for the past 3 years, 3-4 years. He has been, but he's a good running back. But he's not displacing Nick Chubb. He's not. I don't think any running back in the league would displace Nick Chubb. And if the Browns can get a pick out of him, then why wouldn't they go for it? Teams in particular that might need a running back.
I mean, we've not actually talked on this show about the obvious huge trade that happened. Thinking about it, I'm sure you chatted about it on Sunday, but obviously I'm talking about the Christian McCaffrey trade to San Francisco 49ers. As soon as that rumor mill started happening for you, Byron, as a Bills fan, you were really like, yep, chips all in on the table, give him a 1st round pick, go for it, just go and get him, and that didn't happen. So.
I absolutely would have loved that, especially with the cap hit that he had for the rest of the year. I think it was like $825,000. That's pocket change to NFL teams. It's nothing, and especially and with if McCaffrey went to the Bills, it's just one of those. How do you stop a 2-dimensional offense that has one of the best wide receiver cores in the league, arguably, I would argue, the best quarterback in the league, and then one of the best running backs in the league? How do you scheme defense against that? I know I'm not a fantastic defensive mind. However, I don't think he can. I'm surprised about the 49ers, and especially they gave up a lot. They gave up a lot, given the fact that he's going into a contract year. And they've always sort of been a team that has committee backs, and it's always sort of worked for them. Eli Mitchell's out injured, yes, but he's coming back this year. Jeff Wilson, he's a good running back. I am surprised that the 49ers went all out for him as they did. I don't think they'll regret it because of how good of a running back McCaffrey is, but I'm very surprised they gave up that much. I really am.
Do you think it's almost a low risk scenario for them, Adam, in that case then? Because McCaffrey is obviously, as we all know, very injury prone, but when he is on his day, is the best in the league. He is so dynamic. But they've had that every year where they've signed a new running back or got someone in, and it's just always next man up for them. Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. I mean, Debo has been playing running back a lot of the time as well. Do you think it was a risk worth taking for the 49ers?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I will say it is a big cost to them. I mean, they've basically taken themselves out of next year's draft. I think they're going to get one compensation pick in the 3rd round, and that's about it. But I kind of see what they do. I mean, there was a lot of talk of him going to the Rams. That was certainly something that's been mentioned, and I think they felt that they needed something in order to be able to push them. That's why they gave up as much as what they did, because I think the Rams were willing to give up, future picks, as they've always done in the last few years, and so I think that was why. But yeah, I mean, look, he's a top quality running back. It takes Deebo Samuel out of the running back quite as much. There was all that problem about getting him to sign a contract and how he wanted to be a wide receiver rather than this sort of gadget player all the time. So I suppose it helps with that a little bit. You do wonder about Elijah Mitchell, whether he is going to be back quite as quickly as what they had hoped originally. So maybe that's why they've done it as well. You look at their other running backs, Jeff Wilson has been efficient but not great. Ty Davis-Price has picked up injuries, not really done a lot. I don't know who else they've got, but it's, nothing major. So I kind of get why they went down that route. But yeah, I think they can sense that they've got a chance of winning the division. This is the thing. It's like it feels very much every year. It feels like the gamble happens earlier and earlier, where it's like they feel like, yeah, okay, we've got this chance to get this division now, and that the Cardinals aren't really doing that much. The Seahawks are looking okay, but at the same time, they know that there's probably chances that they can beat them, and the Rams just don't look like the Rams from last year at the moment. So I think because of all of that, that's why they've probably gone for it. So yeah, it costs a lot, but I suppose if you're going to make a move like that for a player like that, it is going to cost a lot.
And also as well, the big thing that's happened with the 49ers to enable them to make these moves was the drafting of Trey Lance, and Trey Lance being the future. And obviously he's not played this year because he's been injured, but this has allowed them to have free cap space with McCaffrey. I know the McCaffrey cap hit now isn't bad, but it will be because he won a new contract. They've got Deebo on contract, they've got Kittle, Trent Williams, Fred Warner. These are all big names, Byron. Like, is this all going to gel and work together? Is this what the teams are going to do? I mean, if it works off successful this year anyway, but the only problem is how much praise then goes on to Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulders rather than Trey Lance's shoulders.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just giggling because I have my phone next to the laptop and I had a notification from the NFL app, and I thought maybe something else was happening. And it was just an alert that Mac Jones will be the starting QB against the Jets this Sunday, which makes me very happy.
The headline we all wanted to see is is that Zappy or Zappa going to start?
I don't know. He's a Patriots quarterback. We don't need to worry about it. Yeah, no, I mean, teams certainly have been over the past couple of years going all in on free agents. You look at it didn't work out for them, but the Patriots a couple of years ago, well, was it last season, they brought in all these free agents. I think Bill Belichick was sort of panicking a bit, without Tom Brady, and realizing that, he had to start again with a new quarterback. But these days, general managers of NFL teams are clever enough to work around cap space. They can restructure contracts. They can make things happen if they want to make them happen. It is a lot of players they need to pay, yes, but they can make it happen. They can restructure contracts. They can turn things into signing bonuses. With McCaffrey, especially next year, he will want to be making top running back money, which is more than it used to be. But, like I say, they can make these things happen, whether they let go of a couple of fringe players just to make that cap space. And then, you bring up rookies in the draft. Well, if they can, depending on how many draft picks they have. It's something that I think is at the back of everyone's mind. Yes, cap space, but GMs can deal with it.
No one cares about cap space when they're winning.
No, exactly. Yeah, if you win a Super Bowl, you don't care about cap space.
You know what? We've done the podcast for a fair few years, and I've come with some real good, just knock out the park sayings this year. I've done really well. Really, really, I'm really pleased with that one. That is not as good as you wanted a bit of sauce and you got the whole bottle. That's still the best one I've done over Sauce Gardner.
You say that, you text that to me once. You text that to me. You say, "Oh, do you remember on the podcast when I said this?" At least 3 times a week. It's insane.
You're just pulling away. You don't peek behind the curtain of great shows like this. But obviously, Adam, he was not the only player rumoured to be moving on from the Carolina Panthers. Brian Burns, big rumours. J.C. Horn, obviously Bobby Anderson got traded away to the Cardinals. And then the Denver players as well. Jerry Jeudy, Bradley Chubb, there's been rumours about them. These teams that had expectation, let's say, at the start of the year, seems to be the rumbling around these teams. The Steelers as well, I'll be honest with you. Chase Claypool's been the big one, which is the big rumor is that he's going to go to the Packers, but the Packers won't give up enough for him. But what on the rumor mill are you taking in? And
so from what I've sort of read or listened to, it seems like if Denver lose on Sunday, then it's
clear out time.
It's clear out time. Bradley Chubb is the main one, because he's on a contract year. So it looks like Bradley Chubb is going to be the main guy to go. Jerry Jeudy is another one who there's been rumours around him. It just depends if anyone's going to go big for a wide receiver. I don't really see it myself. But he's another one that they're talking about, as you said, about Steelers and Chase Clay. I don't think the Packers will do anything. I think they'll do their normal thing and they won't go for anything, and they'll just stick with what they got and try and piece together some sort of offense, which just isn't really happening at the moment. I think I'd be surprised if the Rams don't go for anyone, just purely because the Rams always go for someone. And also, I think that now that McCaffrey has turned up at the 49ers, I do think, running back is their weakness at the moment. I think they need to go out and get one of them. And so, the obvious one is Kareem Hunt. He is the obvious one at the moment where there's a lot of chat about him. And so I can see that Kareem Hunt is certainly one that might go. But aside from that, it's always difficult to get some of these trades done mid-season, but it feels like it's getting easier and easier now because these teams are just willing to go all in. But yeah, on a personal level, I'd be very surprised if we did it.
Can I just ask, Adam, what do you think the Rams would be able to give up for Kareem Hunt, because they've got nothing really?
I mean, have they got anything at all? They must have something at some point, because wasn't the new picks came available, didn't they? As one draft goes.
I think they've got 3 late round picks this year. I may be very wrong.
Mate, when you got Peter Skoranek in your back pocket to deal, just slot him away somewhere. What a slot! What a slot version of Cooper Kupp.
I'm sure they will magically find something in order to make it happen.
Of course, as well, at this point in the season as well, like obviously your picks move, and at this point, like some teams could argue, I could give away my first round pick that looks like it's going to be the 10th pick, but I get this guy in and make a few little movements. That pick could go down to 20, maybe late teens. And like, well, actually, I'm not bothered about losing that, because would we get a true elite starter in the 18th pick? My argument is, though, now with the hit rate of college players and how good they are, there was at one point an argument with the Rams example, like, trade around first round pick. Well, you weren't ever going to get a Jalen Ramsey in the draft. You wouldn't, but you might get Pat Surtain. And would I take Pat Surtain or Jalen Ramsey now? Probably take Pat Surtain, to be honest with you, because of the years that he can give you in the years that he's going to give you at a young age, and that cap space that you can have from that. So I can understand why these teams do want to go big for these players. On a personal level, I'd love to see Brian Burns move. I think he's like a really good edge rusher. It'd be cool to see him at a different team. I do think Kareem Hunt at the Bills would work. I think that would definitely work in a good situation, especially as well with Nick Chubb being on my fantasy team. That just helps me out. Not that I need any help with that, because he seems to be doing great anyway. But there's
said, haven't they? They're not going to draft. They're not going to trade Brian Burns.
Oh, they said they're absolutely not going to do that.
Yeah, they've come out and said they're not going to trade him, that they think that he's like the future for them. So it's not,
Well, that's the wise thing.
Yeah.
That is the responsible thing to do because he is one of their best players. So, but then they just traded one of their best players. So, but then again, McCaffrey's been way more
running back
than Brian Burns.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly, of course. Another rumor that has been circling around the internet, and I haven't mentioned this at all even before we were talking prior, but it does involve one of you so quite heavily, so you can bring something to it, and it will make another person give off a lot of opinion. Is there is a huge rumor around that a certain duo of quarterbacks are looking a bit past it. And one certain legend, it is about your quarterback, because it's not about the king that is Josh Allen.
Not about Josh Allen.
It's not about Josh Allen. He is not.
Absolutely not.
But a certain Tom Brady in Tampa, who lost against the Steelers, and a certain Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay have not looked like their old selves this year so far. And I mean, Adam, I'll go to you first, because it's been like all over every social media I've been on, where it's like, they're past it, they're done. And then it's like, do you think they're past it or done? Or remember they're so great, stuff like that. Do you think, because there was both a lot about them in the offseason. I think that's what makes it a bit more of a topic conversation. Aaron Rodgers, he was going to leave? Was he going to get traded to Denver? That was such the hype. Brady retiring, unretiring, seems to be in his in home life, it seems to be crumbling apart because he didn't retire. Apparently, anyway, I don't really read that too much into that. Aaron joins back the team, but loses his best guy, really, in Devontae Adams. I mean, what's going on with these two? Are we being just a bit hard? I mean, they are greats at the game. They are going to go down as two of the greatest to ever play it. I'm not denying that for a second before people come out and have a massive go at anyone about that. But what's your stance on this?
I think it's it's a strange one. There's two different situations, really. I think when it comes to Brady, I don't quite know. I think he's probably not quite. I don't know. It's a very strange one. You've got, because the weapons are there. That's what's so bizarre with Brady. That's why it doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's why I feel like eventually it will come good. I think it will with him. I mean, it might be, you're not going to see him win the NFC, but that division as well, where they are in that division, I think they're still top of it, and I think that eventually I can see it coming well, and I think he's got enough weapons around him in order for it to work. Unfortunately,
and for the last 2 years, and for the last 2 years, they have started badly.
Yeah,
they've started badly both times, and they've been like elite by the end of the season. Well, not end of the season Super Bowl, but by the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that awful for them. That they're stuttering around, they're struggling a bit on the offense, but the defense. I mean, I remember that first year that Brady was there. They offensively they were very good, but they weren't that great last year. Not really. I mean, like, they did okay, but they weren't brilliant. It was the defense that was getting them along a lot of places. So I think it's just that, look, he's another year older. There's a lot of personal question marks for him now regarding his personal life. I think really it all affects it. And, he's been given a massive contract by Fox. I think we'll probably see him in the studio next year. So I think because of that, that's what it is. When it comes to Rodgers, it's just I don't think it's necessarily the same. But there was one thing that I said in one of the previews that I did off season. I don't know if winning a ring means as much to him anymore. He doesn't come across as the same guy that he was, like, as just generally. He seems much more chilled out than what he used to be. Sorry?
What do you think he's doing it for?
I think the $50 million contract might have helped him decide to come for another couple of years.
If he stayed with Giselle, he would have had a lot more than 50 million.
Oh no, Brady, yeah. Oh no, I think Brady's just there because he loves doing it. But I think Rodgers, I'm not quite so sure. I don't think that the ring is necessarily the most important thing with Rodgers. I think if he was to play okay and they have a good go, and if they don't win it, then we don't win it, kind of thing. I do feel like there is that sort of element to Aaron Rodgers now. He's not the same guy that he was about 5 years ago. He despite the fact that you see him on the field, that there is the anger there because it's not working, but he's kind of like, I don't know, I just don't feel that he's necessarily 100% everything is this now. I think he thinks that there's more to life.
But as a Packers fan, would you? I know Rodgers has been a great servant to the Packers, but surely if he's not 100% there, I want to win a ring. Surely he'd be better off without him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, you want me to tell you what I think?
Yes,
I think we should have traded him. I said in the off season that was it. That was the window. The window was over, and that we should have traded him. And I made that pretty clear. Like whenever we did stuff during the off season, I think our time was done. You can only have so long trying to be a Super Bowl winner. There's only so many years you can do it. We had 2019, 2020, 2021, and we got to 2 NFC Championship games and one conference, game, and in the playoffs, and that was it. You can't extend it, and when you start extending it in the way that they have, you end up going down this slippery slope, and that's where we now are, where there's nothing you can do. I don't think Rodgers is the problem with this team so much, because there are a million problems with this team. There isn't one problem, and that's why it's a nightmare to work out. I mean, if you want me to go through them, I'd gladly tell you about how we're absolute trash at the moment.
I think one of the key things for him is, and Brady was like this as well to a certain extent in New England, he likes having the boys. He likes having his boys. And his boys the last few years have been Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. They've been his boys. He's got the receiver that he loves. He's got Bakhtiari on his left.
Yeah.
Like it's all you need. I need my good running back. I need the guy to protect me. I need the guy to get the ball to us. All I need. I've got my boys and I can trust them. We can beat anyone with this because I trust my defense as well because he's got some good players. Same with Brady to the extent with people like Edelman, Gronk. But at the same time, Brady didn't mind the rotating door of Bill Belichick's world of next player up, next player up, next player up. And then he went to the Bucs, and it was like, it sort of became a little bit next player up, but he still had his boys, didn't he? Chris Godwin, Evans, he got Gronk in. He still had his lads. Leonard Fournette came in. He's got his lads around him. And then Rodgers loses all of his boys this year, apart from let's say all of his boys. He loses Devontae Adams, but he's still got Aaron Jones. But then there's the expectation we've got to use A.J. Dillon as well. Now, I'm not sure. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones appear to have a fantastic relationship. I've never really seen Rodgers and Dillon doing that much together. And then Bakhtiari has been injured for quite a bit of this year. So he loses the confidence at the left tackle position for me to be protected. He's lost his confidence in the wide receiver position because he doesn't trust any of the wide receivers going, even though I think a lot of them do deserve that. I think Lazard is a very good player on his day. I mean, Romeo, set an argument, Dobbs or Doobs? I know there's like a big thing about it. It's
Dobbs. You want his real name? His real name is Dobbs.
But didn't someone just call him Doobs the whole time? And he was like, "My name's just Doobs now," or something like that.
No, I would look at it and I would say Doobs.
Oh yeah, no, I know how you would. Like, I agree.
Also, it is spelled D-O. It is spelled D-O-O-U-B-S.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the season, he came out and said it's Dobbs. But I mean, he might have changed it.
I don't know. I felt like someone said. I felt like he said like something about like it is Dobbs, but everyone just keeps calling me Doobs, so I'm just going with it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Romeo.
Yeah, so Romeo he's Robert Tonyan again is quite a top tight end, I think, on his day, but his day doesn't come very often, unfortunately. And I I think, yeah, Aaron likes to live in Aaron's world. And when Aaron's world isn't quite shaking around a little bit and there's a bit of disturbance, he gets very, very irrationally irritated very quickly, I think. And Brady has done the same this year. Brady's thrown iPads and full stuff like that. And I do hate this subscription to, like, well, when Brady does it, it's passion. But then when another quarterback does it, it's them being an idiot. Well, no, when you've won 6 rings, you have a bit of a right to get angry and to have that quote unquote passion. When you are, when you're coming off and you've made yourself quite well known in the media that you are a bit aloof, and when you don't have go to them say, "Oh, you're just angry," well, no, it doesn't look passionate because you've set a precedent of what you are like already. Yeah. Brady's precedent for years was winner because he didn't talk to the media. That was the Patriot way. They didn't talk to the media. They didn't do all that. They just bloody won. So that was passionate. But Rodgers has, in his own right, and either way is fine if you want to be that guy, but has been in the spotlight. He goes on Pat McAfee's show all the time. He's always in the media. He's been single and everything like that, and he's had a bit of revolving door girlfriends and things like that. Has done things like should have been at training camp, was in abroad with friends and stuff like that. Like, you set that precedent for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that's the same for every quarterback. I do agree with some quarterbacks say, where we jump on too quick, and you're like, we're not in their scenario. They are passionate. They clearly love the play of the game, but it's just I just think they're almost so polar opposites in quarterback play, in how they are, and in teams for all these years. And no one likes greatness to end, and they have both been great. But there is a time where it sounds awful because I don't believe it's about them, but it does become a time where it just becomes sad. And also, it does become a time where you've got to say, as an organization, we need to think ahead. I said that about Steelers with Big Ben. It just got sad, and we didn't think ahead. And Adam is completely correct. Where Green Bay had their window this year. They had teams on the market. Denver, Nathaniel Hackett's there. Like, everything was set up for it. You could have rocked with Jordan Love. At least, well, I consider Adam a clever fan, but I feel like most Green Bay fans do know what it's all about. They are very passionate about their team. But you could have taken a crap year if it meant a good draft pick, a start again, a fresh. We can afford to extend Jair. We can keep a few guys in, like Devondre Campbell's your linebacker, right? Yeah, players like that. Extend Aaron Jones. Keep AJ. Keep them as a tandem going because it works really well. Keep strengthen the O line. And all right, Jordan Love, it might not work with Jordan Love at all, but there's so much more coming. And with quarterbacks that contracts of going up and stuff like that, they could have just it was like you said, the window was there, and I think the organization was just too afraid to take it because of
I think it was the easy option. You keep Rodgers, don't you? That is the easy option. So it's like that. It's just the obvious thing. It's like, oh well, it's difficult to trade away a 2-time MVP in the last 2 years. So I completely understand the sort of like the logic of, oh well, let's keep him here, just do it again. That's probably what the theory was. But I mean, he's not the one that's completely to blame for everything.
Oh no, I don't believe that either. Yeah, I don't think he's awful at all.
But he's not helping. He really isn't helping. There's there's lots of throws that are inaccurate. I know he's got this thumb injury, so you have to kind of take that into account. But there is a lot of inaccuracy compared to what he was in the last couple of years. And he's shouting at these receivers who are rookies, and he's kind of like having a go at them, and he's having a go at LaFleur on the sideline, screaming, "What are we doing?" And it's like, well, you've just thrown it at Romeo Dobbs' feet. So, what do you expect to happen? But there's loads of problems. There really are, and it's not just him, but he really isn't helping. And unfortunately, I feel that we've missed our window to trade away and get a hell of a lot for it. And we've sort of like carried on down this route, which is just going to bring more pain for the next few years.
Well, it looks like Luna, Byron's dog, is trying to drag him graciously away from the podcast.
She stopped.
Well, I cannot deny a dog's love for, her owner. So I'm going to get us all wrapped up here. Adam, Byron, thank you for coming on. If you guys want to check out any more NFL content, go read some of the Off-Grid NFL website. They've got some fantastic articles on there. Probably some articles to do with some trade rooms as well, which I have seen pop up from our friend Johnny and his gang over there. So go check out Off-Grid NFL. Check out Gareth, who we spoke about earlier. He's got some fantastic interviews on there with an XFL player. Hopefully there's going to be some XFL pods coming to you in the off season, which should be good fun. Thursday night fantasy football. No Sunday preview show this week because some of us, not all of us, will be at the Sunday game. So make sure you chat to us there. Adam, what are you going to close out?
The preview show's on Saturday.
Okay. So there is going to be a preview show. There we go. Yeah. Just when I was bringing problems, Adam brought solutions. That's why we've missed him so much. He's a guy who knows how to solve problems. Exactly. Thank you for watching us. Enjoy your week and enjoy the London game. If you see us there, make sure you come up and say hello to us. We'll be more than happy to chat NFL. But until then, have a good rest of your week.